Georgia going to Tuscaloosa. This is the game of Week 5 now. Do not get it twisted. This is the game that everyone and their mama will be talking about on Sunday morning. It is for pole position in the SEC. It is for bragging rights all year long between these two operations. It is also for what you would probably deem as maybe not a playoff game, but very much so playoff implications for what both these schools have after this game on the schedule. What happens for each team if they win the game? A better way to say that is Alabama wins if. Georgia wins if. We'll unpack both scenarios right now. Make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. We will have a reaction to this game. We've got a prediction for this game already live on the channel, so go check that out. Bottom line, if you're a college football sicko, this is where we want you to be. This is where we need you to be, all right? Make sure you're subscribed. Also, this show, The Hard Count, brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All you got to do, pick 2 or more player projections, pick them more or less on those projections, and you're off to the races. We have a play for you in this game. So if you want to add a little extra juice to your viewing experience while watching this, Prize Picks has got you covered. Code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups just for playing. Even if we don't win, $50 in promo funds. Again, when you use code HARDCOUNT. All right? So let's start with Georgia. They're the away team. They are looking to avenge what happened last year. I understand different team, different year, different setting, but still, you don't think Kirby Smart remembers that one? I promise you he does. The loss in Atlanta for the SEC championship. Georgia wins this football game if, defensively, they're able to limit Jalen Milroe on the ground. Now, what I mean by this more specifically is Jalen Milroe, we know how talented he is. We know the special player that he is. Where he can hurt Georgia is those undefined plays, what a lot of people would refer to as the second play. Georgia dials up a blitz, they get home, they got a chance to sack him for an X-yard loss, and what happens is number 4 has the Superman cape on, makes a play, gets out, and then either he picks up a first down with his legs, he turns what would have been a sack into a minimal gain, or the very worst case scenario is he gets out of trouble, your defense is discombobulated, and he's got a big play down the field. If you're able to make him strictly a passer, I don't think it's a situation where you say, oh, Jalen Milroe can't throw the football on us, but it does, I think, in my mind, substantially limit what would be an explosive play for you and limit a situation where you're kind of holding your breath and saying, okay, anything could happen here. At that point, your structure of your defense or your structure of the scheme you had drawn up doesn't get thrown out the window, but it definitely gets minimized a little bit on those broken plays. So limiting Jalen Milroe to being a passer, and I think maybe an even more specific point to put on that is limiting Jalen Milroe to playing within the structure specifically of the Alabama drop-back pass game, all right? The other thing that has to happen for Georgia to win this football game, the skill players on the perimeter, your Dylan Bells, your Dominique Lovitz, heck, he's not really on the perimeter, but go ahead and sprinkle a little Oscar Delp there just because you feel like it. They have got to be the difference makers in this football game. Because I think for Alabama, I expect there to be a good back and forth on the line of scrimmage between the Bama D-line and the Georgia offensive line. But in situations like that where it's a stalemate up front and you're without your stud offensive lineman Tate Radledge in this game, you need your quarterback, who is going to be a first-round pick, if not the first player taken in next year's draft, to step up, meet the moment, be the guy for you. The way that he's able to be the guy is if your playmakers, again, on the perimeter, are able to separate, able to maximize his ability, and have those big plays. Now, make this very, very clear. It doesn't have to be a thing where Carson Beck goes for 400 yards, Dominique Levitt goes for $150, 2 touchdowns. Like, that'd be nice, and if that happens, you feel pretty good about your chances to win the football game. But more specifically, I need those explosive plays to, one, be a differentiating factor in the game on the scoreboard. Yes, but maybe even more specifically to open up the rest of the offense. For Georgia, what I just said about the defensive line for Alabama, you're going to like your picture you're running into if you're able to get a few big plays downfield, loosen up the box, have to commit more resources, safeties can't trigger as quickly. If all those things happen now, you feel good about Trevor Etienne and what he can do for you on the ground. At the very least, you like your chances to be more multiple. So you expect them to be able to pass to run in that situation. If Alabama wins, I think what you would be looking at is the secondary against Georgia. You'd force them to play in the box. if that makes sense. Like the secondary for Alabama that we just talked about, the explosive plays, trying to limit Carson Beck, all that's true, because if you can keep a lid on those, you then force Georgia, I think, to have to ground and pound against you, to have to find a way to kind of take what they give you and play what I would call a very putt-putt style of offense, a very 5 yards here, 6 yards here, 3 yards here. And not to say Georgia couldn't do that, but the reason why that would favor Alabama, the Alabama offense, if Georgia is not, maybe they're not stuck in neutral, but maybe they're stuck in, cruising, call it 20, 25, the Alabama offense is going to try to go 70 in the carpool lane. 75, 85. Like they're going to try to put pedal to the metal. And I don't like Georgia's chances to keep pace with you if they're at your place, not able to have explosive plays, and you got Jalen Milroe playing quarterback. Like at some point in time, I fully believe that Kalen DeBoer will get it rolling offensively. Now, is that in the second half? Is that in the first quarter? Is that in the fourth quarter? Honestly, you'll take any of those as long as you're able to limit the Georgia offense from having those explosive shots downfield. On the other side of what we talked about with Georgia trying to win the football game, Alabama wins the football game, in my mind, if Jalen Milroe is able to force the Georgia defense to overcommit. The ad-lib plays are huge. It's tough to really have a strong take on the ad-lib plays for Jalen Milroe. If he's able to get loose and do what he does, then obviously you feel good about your chances if you're Alabama. What I want to speak to a little bit more specifically, a little more technically, is the quarterback design run game. Because what that does is it allows another blocker for Jalen Milroe to go be special and do what he does in space, right? We've seen it a couple times now. They'll do the empty set, and it'll be a quarterback power, or it'll be, any quarterback draw, whatever you want to do with Jalen Milroe. When you give him that space, there's a reason why they like to go empty, because he does get that space just by how the formation's set up. But again, if Jalen Milroe, with his legs, with that extra blocker, forces those Georgia safeties to start to trigger quickly, you got to add in a Malachi Starks to the box, or however they decide to play it. At that point in time, you have then the change-up pitch we talk about a lot on this show. You have that over-the-top shot. You have Ryan Williams with a little bit extra attention. You got a little more real estate to throw to. Like, all those things start to compound, and then the explosive plays start to line up for Alabama. This is just the feeling I have on this, man. I got a feeling that Kalen DeBoer has got something up his sleeve. I'm sure Kirby Smart does too, but I think Kalen DeBoer, especially with the counter plays off of the Jalen Milroe designed quarterback runs, I think we see those in this game. For both sides of this, man, game plan wise, like, you empty the clip, you go all in. You're not saving anything for the future. You'll get to the Texas game if you're Georgia in the future. If you're Alabama, you'll get to, LSU in the future. You'll get to the games you have down the line in the future. But you worry about this one first, getting over the hump if you're Georgia, and trying to stay the top dog in the SEC if you're Alabama without Nick Saban. He's on the game day desk, not on the sideline. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a very, very fun game. So the plays I like in this game, Jalen Milroe's pass yards are listed at 203.5 passing yards is the total number set for Jalen Milroe through the air. I'm going to take the less on that. For one, he has not surpassed that total yet this season. Second, I think his legs will be a massive part of the offense. I don't think it'll be a thing where they're asking him to air it out downfield a whole heck of a lot. He throws a great deep ball, but again, I think if you're Georgia, they're going to do their best to limit that. I think it'll be a lot of Jalen Milroe on the ground in this game. Could have a good day passing, but I'll go ahead and take the less on 203.5 passing yards. Now, for Trevor Etienne, his rushing yard total is 67.5 rush yards. I'm going to take the more there. For what I mentioned at the top of this thing, I think it'll be a run-to-pass scenario. I think Trevor Etienne will be someone that gets a pretty good dose of the load when it comes to running the football for Georgia. So even if he doesn't go crazy on the ground, 67.5 feels too low, so we'll take the more there. So to recap it here, code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups gets you $50 in promo funds. If you want to tail us, we're taking Jalen Milroe, 203.5 passing yards. We'll take the less. Trevor Etienne, 67.5 rush yards. We will take the more there. If you want to fade us, then you're more than welcome to do that as well. But use code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups gets you $50 in promo funds. Just a great way to let the folks at Prize Picks know that you're dialed into the show, and we appreciate y'all doing that as well. So, cannot wait for this one. We think Georgia wins the football game. But again, if Alabama does, we told you why. And if Georgia does, That's our outlook on things as well. So we appreciate y'all being dialed in. We appreciate y'all being subscribed. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.